Okay, yesterday we started the dinim of Kiddush, and we're discussing the various different dinim involved. Okay, it's saying Vayechulu, the reason why you say Vayechulu. Okay, now, halachically, men and women are equally obligated to Kiddush like we learned. Children 6 and over also have an obligation to listen to Kiddush because of chinuch purposes. They can either make Kiddush or listen to Kiddush. Now the proper time for Kiddush is, as Al Rebbe says in Shulchan Aruch, as soon as possible. Miyad, right away when Shabbos, after Ma'ariv, even if you're davening Ma'ariv early, the proper time to make Kiddush is right after Ma'ariv. Now okay, we'll leave out that then. Now, before you make Kiddush, it's forbidden to eat or drink. According to halacha, you shouldn't even drink water before Kiddush. In other words, you shouldn't. Once a woman lights Shabbos candles, for her Shabbos begins. So from the time she lights Shabbos candles until she hears Kiddush, she's not allowed to eat or drink. A man, if they don't light candles or whatever, so they begin from Shkia, from sundown. So a man from the second sundown comes, you're not allowed to eat or drink until you make Kiddush. Even if it's 3 hours later, it doesn't matter. Until you make Kiddush, you're not allowed to eat or drink. Kids under bar and bas mitzvah, though, the din is that mitzvahs like that, you don't have to educate kids. Which means, according to halacha, children under bar and bas mitzvah are allowed to eat or drink before Kiddush. I'm not saying a 12-year-old kid should dafki eat before Kiddush, but I'm saying halachically, the Alter Rebbe writes mitzvahs, like those types of mitzvahs, there's no din of chinuch in it. So the Alter Rebbe writes in Hilchos Shabbos, not by Kiddush, but by different dinim. So you're not supposed to eat or drink once a woman lights Shabbos candles, or once a man has sundown shkia, you're not allowed to eat or drink until Kiddush. Now the question, what? Because it says Zacher v'Shamar. Shamar means don't transgress Shabbos. Zacher means remember Shabbos. The Gemara says whoever has to keep Zacher has to keep Shamar. Whoever has to keep Shamar has to keep Zacher. Because women are also obligated in the mitzvah of keeping Shabbos, not desecrating Shabbos, so they're obligated in the mitzvah of Zacher. There's an interesting question. Chassam Sefer asks a question they bring down that there's another reason why women should be obligated in Kiddush, because in the second Aser Sadibis, where it says Shomer, it mentions the concept of Yetzias Mitzrayim. And because they're a part of the miracle of Yetzias Mitzrayim, so l'chayr they should be obligated in Kiddush. But l'chayr you can answer that question because the Alter Rebbe brings down, and other poskim bring down, that the mitzvah, the concept of Afhein Hoyu Ba'esei Hanes, that they were part of the miracles only by a rabbinic mitzvah, not by a biblical mitzvah. That's why women have to eat matzah, not because they were part of the miracle, but because we learned it out from the same pasuk, like we learned that you're not allowed to eat chametz. So therefore, the reason women are equally obligated to men, both biblical and rabbinic Kiddush, and therefore they're not allowed to eat or drink before Kiddush. Again, kids under bar and bas mitzvah are allowed to eat.
Why do they have to keep Shabbos?
What? Because why do women have to keep Shabbos? It's a love. Any love connected to time they have to keep. Just a mitzvah saseh.
No, I was looking at it as a positive.
No, don't do malacha. Shomer means keep it by not desecrating it. So that's a love that women are obligated to keep. So because of that, the Chacham learn, the Gemara says they're obligated in the concept of Zachar also, which is making Kiddush. Okay, next. It's not a very practical din. What happens if somebody's making Kiddush and they forgot to say Beri Pri Hagafen? They say Yom HaShishi, by mistake they leave out the bracha Beri Pri Hagafen and then they say the second bracha. So, if they remembered before they started drinking the wine, they make a Beri Pri Hagafen then. If they already started drinking wine, but they didn't drink enough of the wine, that we'll soon learn how much you have to drink, so they stop drinking, make a Beri Pri Hagafen, and continue drinking. If they already drank enough and they're not planning to drink more wine, then they drank. It's too late. It's like you eat food and don't make a bracha. It's too late. You can't make a bracha already. Okay.
If you take it
bite of an apple and swallow it, and then you say bracha, can't you say bracha and continue?
Yeah, that's if you're eating more apple.
Yeah, so same.
That's what I'm saying, but what happens if you're not drinking more wine? You drank the sufficient amount for Kiddush, and you're not planning to drink more wine. So then you can't make a bracha after you drink it. So then you have to...
When you say hamusi, it covers everything, doesn't it?
not wine. In other words, if you, let's say, listen to Kiddush in Shul, by a Kiddush, you go home and you don't make Kiddush again. Let's say nobody's home. You don't want to make Kiddush again. You go wash for Hametzi. In the middle of the meal, you're going to drink wine. You have to make a Ber Piagafen. Because wine is such a prominent drink, even during the week. Tonight for dinner, you're washing in the middle of dinner, you want a cup of wine, you have to make a bracha on the wine. Because of its importance. So therefore, Hametzi is not going to cover the wine. It never does. Unless the reason, let's say you make Kiddush before washing for Hametzi, and then you're going to drink wine after Hametzi, the Beri Piagafen you said before covers that also. But if you didn't make a Beri Piagafen before, you have to make a Beri Piagafen after. What?
What if it's like over Pesach and you're saying, I'm going to sit down and just matzah and wine? You're supposed to make Beri Piagafen because it's like,
When Yom Tiv?
No, hold on. Pesach.
You're drinking matzah and wine?
I'm saying matzah and wine, that's it.
You have to make a gafen on the wine.
That's part of my suga.
Wine always has to be made a bracha.
So why do you say 4 brachas on 4 cups of wine on Pesach night?
So the answer is, the Rebbe mentions that in Haggadah, and the Rebbe writes, because, by the way, not everybody agrees with it. Some people will make a bracha only on the first and the third. Because the second one is still before you wash, so that's covered with the first cup. Correct? Then you bench, so then what you did before is not counted anymore. So you make a bracha on the third cup after benching, and then they won't make a fourth bracha on the cup at the end of the Seder. But the Berel, most poskim say that because each cup is a thing by itself, it's prominent by itself, so therefore you make a separate Beri Piagafen. But besides that, normally if you'd be just drinking 4 cups of wine tonight or Friday night, you make a bracha once and that's it.
Even though we don't say after bracha.
Correct. The reason why after you make Kiddush, we learned in Berchus Hananin, if let's say during the week, before you wash for Hametzi, you eat some food. Right? Appetizers. You go to a wedding, okay, and they're serving by the smorgasbord or whatever, by the Kabbal's Panim where everybody goes to eat, yeah? So you're eating food. You didn't wash it. Then later you're going into the hall to wash for Hametzi. You have to make an after bracha on everything you ate before. Benching will not even cover it, unless if it's bread, cake, dates, but that's it. So over here, once you bench, but because each cup is a separate thing by itself, by the 4 cups, you make a separate Beri Piagafen. But during the regular year, you wouldn't do that. Okay. It's not practical dinim if you've got to make Kiddush in the middle of eating already or whatever. Okay. Now,
So Friday night, you get the late. They're gonna be like an hour, 2 hours late. Is it better to wait for them or just make Kiddush for yourself out of the no, make it for them as well?
if you make Kiddush, it's a very good question because it's very common, especially in certain nationalities where people come always late, like Jews. But for food, they come on time. No, Persians don't come on time for food. Jews, Ashkenazi Jews, come on time for food. So it's a good point. Let's say you come home 7 o'clock, yeah, and you want to make Kiddush, and they're not coming until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. If you make Kiddush, you have to do what's called Makam Seudah. In other words, you either have to wash right after Kiddush and eat a kazayas of bread, or like we have in Shul, you have a kazayas of cake, or you drink another 3 ounces of wine. Because otherwise you're not Yetzi Kiddush.
Even Friday night?
Even Friday night. Otherwise you're not Yetzi Kiddush.
Oh, but later you're gonna watch it.
But I'm saying it doesn't matter. Then you have to remake Kiddush. Then this Kiddush was worthless. Plus you're making a bracha in vain because you're not Yetzi Kiddush. So either, let's say you're home at 7 o'clock, the guests are coming at 9. You either wait for them and make Kiddush then, or if you want to eat or drink something, you make Kiddush, but you have to have something Makom Suda. You either have to wash and have a meitzi, right? Or an ounce of cake, or another cup of wine. Then at least you're Yetzi Kiddush. Then when the guests come and they don't know how to make Kiddush, you're allowed to make Kiddush again for them. Or, if you want, you could wait until they come, but then you can't eat or drink. So it's your choice. But you just can't make Kiddush and then just wait 2 hours, and because you don't have Makom Sudis, you're not Yetzi Kiddush either.
So if you make Kiddush and you drink your beers,
Besides the Kiddush. There's one opinion that the Rebbe brings down that if you drink a whole Revi'us, that itself is enough. But la halacha, you have to, besides what you drink Kiddush, you have to drink another Revi'us of wine.
drinking Kiddush is more than a little.
That's less than a Revi'us. It's Reiv Revi'us by an average person.
So that,
That's not enough. You need to drink another whole Revi'us of wine or grape juice. Huh?
2 Revi'us.
No, the first one's not a whole Revi'us.
Besides that, it increases one.
Besides that, another Revi'us of wine. Could be in the same cup. What's one?
You don't need to pour it, like you could just drink. So the person doesn't know that you're separate. It looks like you're
How are you going to have enough wine?
the cup.
The minute is to drink more than half the cup anyway. It's a massive cup.
No, each cup is 3.3 ounces, so it's 6.6 ounces, and a cup holds 8 ounces.
Yeah, but a bech doesn't always hold 8 ounces. If you drink Mali Lugma and then you drink another Revi'us of wine, it could be in the same cup. But then you're having a big Kiddush cup. I mean, it's... yeah, that would be good. Okay, next.
Friday night, the person, like I know someone is on Atkins now, they don't want to eat bread. But they say on Friday night, I'm just going to do the release.
No.
Is that good enough?
It's good enough for Kiddush Makom Suda. The question of the Yetzi Suda Shabbos. It's not so simple. But if they can't for health reasons or they don't like it, then like it says, Shabbos was made for Einig. If you don't like it, so then you don't have to eat it.
So being on a diet, is that considered health reasons? Not for a doctor's diet. They want to look better.
If a person enjoys, in other words, for them it's painful to eat or drink that stuff, yeah. It's working. Number one, that's about Mezanis. I don't know why this went off. Number one, that's about Mezanis. And again, it's not so clear. I mean, the Alter Rebbe says it, but there's some chsadek later on that says you really should wash. It's not so simple. Even though Ala Geffen also has the bracha achas mein shol, but then you have to drink a whole revi'us of wine besides what you drink for Kiddush. Okay, now, we learned yesterday that our minhag is you stand for Kiddush Friday night. Some people stand for Vayichul and then sit down for Beit Gafen and then, again, our minhag is you stand for the whole time. Now, how do you hold the Kiddush cup? So there's a lot of different customs holding the Kiddush cup. Some people, a little small one, some people hold the cup like this. You know, they say Yom HaShishi, Kiddush, or in the morning, Beit Gafen. According to Kabbalah, you're not supposed to hold it. So that's why people have Kiddush cups that have stands. Because if you hold it on the side, it doesn't matter. You know, you have a stand. But if you have to hold it like this, then a stand is very impractical. So our custom is that we don't have a stand, because you have to hold it in the palm of your hand. So you pick, after you fill up the cup, it's full. By the way, the cup has to be full. Our minig is even by Kiddush to overflow it. By Havdalah it says in halacha you're supposed to overflow it. Our minig is even by Kiddush we overflow the cup. But you can't fill it 3/4 of the way, but then you're not Yetzer Kiddush. So if you're a right-handed person, you pick up the cup in your right hand, you transfer it to your left hand, and then you bring it down into the palm of your hand by the 4 fingers, with the thumb holding around it, covering it a little bit. And that's the way you hold the Kiddush cup. So you pick it up with your right, give it to your left, and bring it down. According to Kabbalah, you bring it down to hold it in your right hand. Now, if you're a left-handed person, you have to hold the cup in your left hand. So then you pick it up in your left hand, you give it to your right hand, and then you put it back down into the left hand. So if you're left-handed, you hold the cup in your left hand. If you're right-handed, you hold the Kiddush in your right hand.
Why do you have to be full?
Because one of the 10 things it says in halacha, kais shel bracha, a case of benching or bracha, it has to be mole. It has to be full. Even in the time of the Bais Hamikdash, when they poured things into the holy vessels of the Bais Hamikdash, it had to be mole. It had to be full. Full is, by the way, it's much more respectful. In fact, many poskim write, this is good in the COVID time, you shouldn't wear gloves when you're holding Kiddush cup because you really have to hold the cup with your hand. You shouldn't hold it with your gloves. Huh? I don't hear you.
You turn on the light without the glove. No, it's your hand. Through your hand.
It's like once Mendel asked if it's true, he said, can you put the toothbrush in your mouth? Toothpaste in your mouth, and then
By the way, the same din applies, by the way, to lulav and esrog.
that's a little complicated because it.
Kiddush, you have to hold it. I'm serious, no. By Kiddush, it says you're not allowed to wear gloves. By lulav and esrog, it says you have to hold it in your hand. Whatever you need to hold it. You can't have a separation between your hand and the cup. Huh? By the way, if somebody did, I'm not saying they're not Yetzer Kiddush, but in halacha it says you have to wear no gloves.
Why, how much do we have this leniency in case somebody can't wash their wear a glove on all the bread?
There is a leniency that Alter Rebbe has in Shulchan Aruch, but not in Siddur. Alter Rebbe doesn't hold of that leniency. But in Shulchan Aruch, Alter Rebbe does. Kimachat shin so meiser merch meiver mein kim shvlag Alter Rebbe von Gashem met. Lot Rebbe sagt so viel gehebel am Termes Shnamad.